Hi, my name is Corinne Donohue, and I'm a speech language pathologist, and I work with Communication Works. Today, I'm going to be talking about practical strategies to expand language during everyday routines for parents and caregivers for children aged 0 to 5. So, I'm going to be going over ways to expand your child's words. We're going to be providing models and examples for how to expand your child's utterance length through daily routines and activities. So whether your child is just beginning to babble, pointing, using one word, putting two words together, speaking in three-word phrases, or ready to add more descriptive vocabulary to their language, we'll have ideas and techniques for all these types of children. So the next few slides contain hearing and understanding and talking milestones from the American Speech and Language Hearing Association, known as ASHA. These are milestones for ages 0 to 5. So for ages 0 to 1, there's a wide range of milestones that our little infants and babies should be hitting. So for hearing and understanding, we want our kids to start to paying attention to music, noticing toys that make sound, turning when you call their name. They might start to respond to simple words like no, or come here, or want more. And they'll start playing games like peekaboo or patty cake. As for talking, around 4 months, we want babies to be cooing and babbling, making very basic speech sounds like pa, ba, me, or ma. They should be laughing and giggling. Closer to age 1, they might be saying their first few words such as hi, mama, dada, uh-oh. Sometimes if there's a pet in the house, that's usually a common first word too. These words may be happening around their first birthday, and they might not even be clear or understandable to other people. For milestones between ages 1 and 2, for hearing and understanding, children should start pointing to body parts, responding to simple questions like who's that or where's your shoe, and pointing to pictures in a book when you name them. For talking, they'll be using a lot of new words. They'll have new sounds emerging. They might be asking questions, the what's that, who's that, or where's kitty, or where's dada. And by closer to age 2, they should be putting two words together. Between ages 2 and 3, for hearing and understanding, your child should be demonstrating understanding of opposites, like go and stop, big and little, up and down. They should be following two-part directions that are related. Get the spoon and put it on the table. And they'll be understanding new words very quickly. For talking, they'll probably have a word for almost everything between the ages of 2 and 3. A lot of new sounds will be emerging. They'll be using words like in, on, and under. People who know your child should be able to understand them. They'll be asking why. And by age 3, they should be putting 3 words together. For ages 3 to 4, for hearing and understanding, children will demonstrate understanding of color words, of shapes. They'll understand family words like brother, grandma, and aunt. For talking, they might be starting to recognize rhyming words like hat and cat, using appropriate pronouns, I, you, me, we, some plural words, toys, birds. Most people should understand what your child says by the age of 4. They might be asking when and how questions. Closer to age 4, they should be putting 4 words together, but they'll probably still be making mistakes, and that's okay. And talking about what happened during the day, and maybe speaking in paragraphs of 3 to 4 sentences at a time. Between the ages of 4 and 5, for hearing and understanding, students should be able to understand words like first, next, and last, yesterday, today, tomorrow. They'll be following longer directions, and they hear and understand most of what they've heard at home and at school. For talking, they should be saying most of their speech sounds, and there should be some expected mistakes on later developing sounds. They'd be able to respond to what did you say. They'll start recognizing letters and numbers. They'll use sentences that have verbs or action words in them, like jump, play, get. They should be able to tell a short story by 5 years old and keep a conversation going. So part of what we're going to go over today are daily routines and activities that can where you can expand language, such as morning routines, like getting dressed, making breakfast, playtime, going on a walk, reading a book, really any meal time or snack time while you're making dinner, grocery shopping when it's safe to do so, music time, bath time, and bedtime routines. There's a lot of ways to expand your child's words, but today I'm going to talk about 3 different ways. We're going to be talking about how we can narrate, how we can model and expand, and how we can create situations for your child to ask for help. We're going to talk about a technique called observe, wait, and listen. So with narrating, it's as simple as describing what your child is doing. Think of a narrator in a story that describes what they're seeing in the picture or in a movie or in a book. This allows you to expose your child to new vocabulary by naming items in their environment or describing images in a book or toys that they have. A child will start to combine 2 words when they have at least 50 words in their expressive vocabulary. And a child will demonstrate, once they demonstrate their knowledge of the word from listening and understanding, then they'll be able to speak it. So for example, with this picture, in order to narrate, we would sit on the floor with the child and let them take the lead with the toy. In this picture scenario, this little boy is playing with a fireman and a police officer in kind of a fire station house. So you would narrate as simple as this. You have a fireman, the fireman's going to bed. He's laying in the bed. The police officer woke up. He's getting on his motorcycle. He's driving around town. You would let the child take the lead and just describe what they're doing. The child's going to be listening and understanding, and the child might respond as you're talking. Let's take a look at this video. This is a child who is playing with some blocks, and the parent is narrating what she's doing.
You're building with blocks? And ooh, you stacked a red block on the top, and there's a blue block on top. What are you building? Oh, took off the blue block.
It's a tower.
You built a tower with red and yellow blocks?
So in this video, this parent was able to use descriptive words like red and yellow and blue and said, took it off and put it on. And the child was able to hear the words and have vocabulary to what she was doing. Oops, there we go. So another way you can set up a scenario is to set up toys like a picnic. This child has a picnic set with a basket and a stuffed animal. This child's probably between 1 year and 18 months old. And so the parent or the caregiver would be able to describe what the child is holding. You have an orange. You put the orange on the circle. You have 2 forks. You have watermelon. Put the cup in the basket. Or if the elephant comes into play and the child is putting the food close to the elephant, the parent or caregiver could say, you're feeding the elephant, and make a meaningful connection to what the child is doing and what they're saying. Mealtime is another great time to narrate what you're doing so your child can hear. Even as young as this baby, who's probably about 5-6 months old, they're sitting on the counter safely and watching the parent. And the parent can easily say, tonight we're making soup. I have tomatoes, beans, and corn. We're going to open the cans. We're going to pour them in the pot. Time to stir. So all those great words and vocabulary and just describing what you're doing. If your child is older, you can get them to stand at the counter and talk about the vegetables and the fruit and the chicken, the proteins, whatever it is you're making. Even if it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, we have bread, peanut butter, and jelly. Let's get a knife to spread the peanut butter. And you can talk about that peanut butter lives in the cupboard and jelly lives in the fridge to stay cold. So many opportunities for vocabulary within meals and meal prep. Another way to narrate, if your child is 1 or under 1 years old and they're only pointing, is that you can narrate with what they're doing and looking at. You don't have to read, for this example, you don't have to read every word in the book. You can let the child do the lead and do a picture walk.
Is that a train?
So even though that video was a little loud, you can see from this image that this baby is pointing to a picture of the train, and the caregiver was able to say, "That's a train," and the baby got really close and looked at it. This is how we teach new vocabulary words to children. So if your child is about 1 year old and they're just starting to use one word at a time, you would want to get down at their level and narrate. Here the child says car. Listen carefully because you can hear it and you can hear the mom say it.
Try opening this one. Say open. What did you find? Car. Great job. You found the car. Vroom, vroom. Great job, Jameson.
So that parent was able to give that child a lot of praise for saying the word car. And when he started to move it around on the mat, the parent was saying vroom, vroom. You could describe it going around, the car's going fast, the car's going slow. But this was a great way to narrate what the child was doing. So just like when we narrate what our child is doing, we want to expand what they say and make it longer. So if your child's saying one word, you will repeat that word and expand the sentence. If your child is saying 2 words, you'll repeat those 2 words in a sentence and model how to expand it. So this is another technique. It's called model and expand. And it's really important not to expect your child to repeat the long sentence. They're going to hear you using those long sentences and they're going to learn from it. So if your child says one word, like more, make it longer. More crackers. If your child says done, make it longer. All done. If your child says want more, make it even longer. Want more milk. Or I want whatever it may be. And you would say, if they say I want car, you would say I want the red car. Just modeling it longer and repeating it back to them is going to help them learn how to associate the new vocabulary words with what they're saying and to help expand their sentences. So if your child pulls you to a desired item, model the language. Want book. If your child points to the desired item, model the language. You want the dog book. If your child says the name of the desired item, like book, expand the sentence again. I want book. I want truck book. I want the big book. Any way you say it is going to help model and expand for them. If you're outside and on a walk and your child points to an animal they see, a dog, a cat, a squirrel, you can label that item and expand. For example, in this picture, if the child points to the animal, he might say duck. The parent and the caregiver can respond, "That's a duck. It's swimming in the water." Another way to model and expand for younger, under the age of 1 children, is to shape what they're saying and expand it. So in this example, this child is only babbling, and the parent shaped the babble behind the camera, and the child was able to see the wave, and when he tried to say the word wave and babble, she shaped it and turned it into hi.
No waving.
So when your child says a word or phrase, for example, when reading a book or doing a picture walk through a book, you're going to repeat the word back to them and add to it. Let's look at another example.
What is she doing? Sleeping. She's sleeping. Where do you sleep?
In a bedroom.
You're right, you sleep in your bed, in your bedroom.
And you turn this on and you put our shoes on.
Where do you put your shoes?
On your feet.
On your feet. And
So this was a really great example because the child only said the word sleeping. She was answering the questions, but the caregiver was able to expand her answers by saying you sleep in a bed, and make her sentences longer. So this child is working on asking for more during meal times. The parent expanded his words by saying, "Great job, you asked for more," and then immediately gave the child what they requested. This is so important when you're working on expanding your child's language. When they are asking for something specific and it's available to them, the best way to reinforce your child saying a new word is to give them what they asked for. Let's take a look.
how do you ask for more? Great job, JJ. You asked for more. Great job. Here you go. Good job, JJ. Yay.
He was so proud of himself. But even with the sign more, the parent was able to say, "Great job, you asked for more. Here you go. You get it right now." And so that's reinforcing that his sign has meaning and his words have meaning. Here's another example of expanding what a child says while reading a book. So in this example, the parent models and expands the word airport fire truck just to make it a little bit longer because that's what his interests were.
Yeah, that's an airport fire truck.
So right there, he said fire truck and the parent modeled airport fire truck. And then he was able to actually repeat that because that's something that he's interested in. So when we model and expand, this child was demonstrating what we want our children to eventually do and why we model and expand. It's because we want them to eventually to start using longer words and sentences. So this child is a little bit older and is labeling and matching animals, and the parent is adding a descriptor when they expand their sentence. Let's take a listen.
Where's the sheep?
This is sheep.
Sheep, that's right. It's a gray sheep. And cow says moo. Where's the cow? You showed it to me. Yes, you do. You showed it to me. There. A black and white cow. Yes.
So this is another great example of adding and having the child expand their sentence on their own. So the little boy said cow, and the parent modeled white and black cow, and then the little boy repeated white cow. So he added that scriptor after hearing his model and expand his sentence.
Where's the sheep?
So this child is requesting, "Now bounce it." And the father responded by repeating what she said, bouncing and expanding her sentences.
You want me to bounce it? Okay. I'm going to bounce the ball. Can you bounce it?
I'll bounce it.
You did it.
So that was a great example of using that vocabulary bounce, and the child was able to demonstrate that they learned that word, and the father was able to expand on the child's utterance.
You want me to bounce?
So another example is if your child says outside, you can expand it and say, "Go outside, go play outside," or "You want to play outside." It doesn't matter what you add to the word they say, but you want to say it multiple times. body parts as you're washing it. Here's a great example.
Oh, you're doing a great job washing your legs. Wash your belly. Your belly's right there. Wash, wash, wash. What about your arms? Wash your arms. Good job, Patty. Let's wash your other arm. Where else should we? Oh, your fingers. Good job. And your arms. Other one. Oh, turn around. I want to wash your back. Wash, 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 wash. Oh, your knees. Yeah. Wash your knees. Abby, I think you're clean. The last thing we can do, wash your face. Good job. Abby is all clean. You're all.
So this was really great because we were able to use a lot of different vocabulary words. This was also a little bit of narrating what we were doing and what she was doing as she was cleaning her own body. And then she was able to follow some directions of turn around and wash your face and under your arms. So there's so many opportunities for vocabulary in different settings.
Oh, you're doing it.
So here's some examples of ways that we can model and expand with more words. So like we just talked about with body parts, size and shape, big, large, huge, small, little, tiny. We can use shapes like round and square and hearts and stars. These descriptor words are great with hot and cold, soft and hard, squishy, wet and dry, clean and dirty. Also location words like up and down, in and out. This will help with our kids learning how to follow directions. And this is really great to use during play as they're moving their toys up, down, and in and out. There's also color words that are really common when we're reading stories with kids too. So here's an example of expanding beyond just color words. This child really loves dinosaurs, and this parent was trying her best to add some more descriptors in there. So you'll hear her talking about the spikes and being in the grass and having a big nose. So listen careful as this child takes the lead.
What other one are you going to pick? The blue dinosaur with the green grass? He's got a big head. Which one? Ooh, the green dinosaur with the orange stripes.
This one?
Is that where he goes?
No. This one goes.
He's eating the leaf. Which one else are we going to pick?
This one.
The red. And what's this one? The yellow dinosaur with the blue horns.
Yay!
Did you finish the puzzle?
Yeah.
Yay!
So that was a really great way to have the child take the lead. We were kind of narrating as well, but also expanding on what each picture was and not just saying blue dinosaur, red dinosaur, flying dinosaur. If you're playing outside and your child falls down and they say fall down, you can expand and say you did fall down, you fell down and stood up again. Or if they see a fire truck drive by, they might say and point fire truck, but you can expand it by saying big red fire truck went by, or the fire truck is going to help someone. So I know that narrating and modeling and expanding sounds like a lot of work, and we're not expected to do it all day long for our kids, but I'm trying to give you different daily activities where you can take that opportunity every day. But just taking those opportunities within your daily routines to describe what you're doing while you're prepping their breakfast, or putting their pajamas on and putting their head in one arm and then the other arm, and brushing their hair, and their hair feels soft or it might still be wet from the bath. So there's just little opportunities throughout the day that we can model and expand and narrate for our children. So there's also a way that we can create situations to expand your child's words. As parents and caregivers, we can anticipate what our child needs pretty much all day long. It helps to alleviate a lot of meltdowns, right? If we know what they want and they don't know how to say it, sometimes we just give it to them. Or sometimes we say, do you need help? Versus letting them have an opportunity to ask us for help. So with this next section, we're going to talk about being able to create an environment so that we can have our children ask for help and tell us what they need. So there's a technique called observe, wait, and listen. We want to just be silent and watch. We're going to observe to see if the child is reaching for something. We're going to wait before we ask, what do you want? We're going to see if the child says anything or does anything, and then we're going to listen. This approach gives a child the opportunity to ask for something without anticipating what they want. Sometimes it'll take 10, 15, 20 seconds before your child even does anything. Let's say they have their eyes on something and you know exactly what you want because you're a parent and you know. But are you going to just give it to them? Or are you going to just wait a few more seconds to see if they point, to see if they reach, to see if they want it? And then you can expand, you can narrate, or you can model for them. If we go back to this example really quick, I want to talk about this picture. So this child had toys behind a gate that she couldn't reach. So this created an environment where she had to reach and grab and ask for what she wanted. So there's other ways that you can provide choices for your child. So even if it's a preferred and non-preferred item, let's say you have a crumbled piece of paper and their favorite toy, and you hold them out and you can ask them, which item do you want? And they would point or reach, and that gives them the opportunity to reach and communicate. During meal times, you can give them very small portions and withhold the rest of the food, not for every single bite, but for enough bites that they can ask for help or ask for more. And you always want to immediately, like I said, reinforce the requested item, because that's going to create a meaningful connection and a meaningful conversation for them. So more opportunities to talk would be during snack and meal time. Like I said, just giving them one bite of food to gain interest and then keeping the foods out of reach. And any attempt for your child to ask for more and you being able to model it back, and then immediately give it to them. If your child can consistently ask for more, you're going to expect more words from them. If they can say more or sign more all the time, then I would hold back that item and say more chicken or more crackers or more strawberries, and continue to model it for them until they start requesting in 2 words. And those plastic juice containers or juice pouches or little snack bags, these are great opportunities to have your child request help. Give it to them unopened. See what they do. They're going to struggle. Those snack bags are hard to open. This creates an opportunity for them to give it back to you and ask for help when they need it. Another trick is to give them some dry food first, like crackers or pretzels. And this will entice them to request a drink of water. And then at the end of the meal, you might want to prompt for them to be all done. Have the child communicate they are finished, either by a sign saying all done or by verbal language. So during playtime, we've talked a lot about this, but to create opportunities to talk, you can show the child their favorite toy and then put it up high. Then they have to ask for help clapping. More opportunities to talk would be with the farm animals. So any animal sound is a great way to get those beginning sounds and get their mouth moving, and then being able to model and expand. The cow says moo, it is in the barn. Rolling a ball back and forth is a great way to start turn taking and label it as my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, and that's just rolling that ball back and forth. And music time is a great way to have a child copy big movements and use prepositions like hands up or clap or touch the ground. And bubbles. Bubbles are another wonderful way to create opportunities for your child to make requests. I love to give kids and you close it again. They get one bubble. You give it back to them. They can't open it again. They're going to give it to you and they're going to ask for help one way or another. They might look at you, they might smile, they might put your hands on top of it and try to get you to twist it. And you're going to model the language for them. You're going to say, oh, you want me to open the bottle again? And they're going to smile and they're going to respond. Then you open it, and you can do that over and over again until, as long as there's no frustration. And then you can expand. You can say, I'm blowing the bubbles up, or I'm blowing the bubbles down. The bubbles will pop. And if you close it again, they might say more. They might say all done. It's a great way to work on an opportunity for your child to ask for help. But remember, let them take the lead. Try not to ask, do you need help? Or what do you want? So now you're going to see a fabulous video that was put together as an informational and educational tool called 200 by 2. This video highlights the speech, language, and communication development milestones of the 2-year-old and points to red flags for children at risk for speech
This video was produced by the California Speech, Language, and Hearing Association. Did you know that your baby starts learning to communicate at birth? When your baby looks at you when you speak, when your baby smiles, when your baby cries, when your baby waves, your baby is communicating. In the first 2 years, communication and language develops very quickly. Your baby will go from no words to at least 200 words by the end of age 2. So, by the end of age 2, your child can have up to 200 words. If your 2-year-old does not appear to be approaching 200 words, don't wait and see. Talk to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or contact a speech-language pathologist. At 8 to 10 months, your baby should be making different sounds and putting different sounds together all the time. Your baby wants to communicate with you. By 12 to 15 months, your baby should respond regularly when called by name and should interact with you. Your baby should use 2 to 3 words other than mama and dada. You can tell what your baby wants when you both are communicating. An 18-month-old starts to talk all the time. Some of the words an 18-month-old uses may not be real words, but should have between 25 to 50 different real words that are spoken all the time. You should be able to tell if your child is asking a question, making a statement, or telling you a story just by the tone of your child. Age 2 is a critical time for language and communication development. Let's spend some time getting to know a 2-year-old's speech and language. We are going to focus on 4 skill areas. It takes 2. 2-year-olds can share attention with another. 200 by 2. At the end of age 2, your child should have 200 clear words in their vocabulary.
A puppy. A puppy? What sound does a puppy make? Whoa, look. What are we looking at? What are you doing? Carrot. Oh, another house is being made. It's a garden. It's not going. Garden not going. It's walking. It's walking. It's walking, Grandma. Hola. Hola. ¿Puedo jugar? Sí. Mira, tengo una pala. Oh, ¿puedo jugar en la arena? No, esta es mi arena. ¿Esa es tu arena? Sí. Oh.
Red flags. These are items that can cause concerns, and you should seek help if your child does not look when you point, look at you when you're talking, point to get your attention. Don't wait and see. Talk to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or contact a speech-language pathologist. 200 by 2. By the end of age 2, your child should have 200 clear words that they use on their own, all the time, every day.
¿Qué color es este plato? Verde.
Red flags. If your child does not use words all of the time, use words to label and describe, use 200 clear words by the end of age 2, don't wait and see. Talk to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or contact a speech-language pathologist. 2 by 2. At age 2, children should start combining words into phrases on their own, all the time, every day.
Oh no. What's happening? Open it. It's going to this. I find it.
Delana, will you change your baby's diaper with me?
That's Rocco. I'm done.
I'm done. Okay.
Red flags. If your child is not putting at least 2 words together into phrases, using short phrases, labeling with more than 1 word, don't wait and see. Talk to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or contact a speech-language pathologist. 2 together. At age 2, children should start playing alongside their peers. Red flags. If your child is not playing alongside peers, interacting with peers, engaging with others, don't wait and see. Talk to your pediatrician or healthcare provider, or contact a speech-language pathologist. Let's review. Sharing attention with another, joint attention. It takes 2. Vocabulary, 200 words, 200 by the end of age 2. On their own, all the time.
So this video is up on the California Speech and Language Hearing Association website. You can look at it at csha.org, 200 by 2. And along with this video, in both Spanish and in English, there's a variety of resources to answer any speech and language questions you may have. So there's another book that I like as a great resource. These are activities to encourage social emotional learning in various scenarios. This book has all different daily activities and different scenarios to help navigate situations, reduce anxiety, and help your child manage their emotions. This book provides a model for practical and simple and fun activities. I went through the book and I was able to pull out this page on pretend play. The book's website is makesociallearningstick.com/book. So if we look at some everyday situations, specifically pretend play, we're going to be looking at everyday situations and language opportunities to communicate, along with social emotional learning, which can start at a really young age. So for example, with dress up, during pretend play, when children dress up, they get to pretend and use their imagination. And that allows them to learn the perspective of someone else. And as a parent or caregiver, you can narrate and model and expand what they're doing during dress up play. Another example of pretend play is playing with cardboard boxes. We know that kids love boxes more than the toys or items that come inside of them. And so with a box, a child can create a whole new imaginary world. And we as parents and caregivers can narrate them through that world. Let's say they make it into a rocket ship. And now they're flying through outer space among the stars and the planets and the moons and the galaxies. And there's so many opportunities to model and expand cut up cardboard or whatever it may be. And you can follow your child's lead and narrate, model, and expand the words in various situations. So these resources and more are from the book Make Social and Emotional Learning Stick by Elizabeth Sauter. So I want to thank you for hanging in there with me and watching all these videos. We talked a lot about developmental milestones for understanding language and being able to talk and communicate. We went over ways to create a reason to communicate. We talked about how we can narrate exactly what your child's doing in everyday situations, just like this picture with a little baby pulling apart the laundry basket, and they took the clothes out, and now let's put the little socks back in and the big blanket back into the basket, and we're going to carry it to the washing machine, and we're going to put it in and wash all our clothes. We talked about ways to model and expand and what that means and why we do it. We model and expand so that our child is exposed to new words, and then we want them to eventually start saying longer sentences. We also talked about observing, waiting, and listening. And this is really important, to be sitting back and letting your child take the lead and not prompt them with questions of what do you want or what do you need. And we know we can't do that all the time, and we want to make sure we pick low stress situations that are not going to cause meltdowns or frustration, but pick those situations that we can wait 10, 15, 20 seconds and let the child take the lead and create an opportunity to ask for help or to say they want something. So I hope you got some great information from this video, and thank you for your time. Bye.